Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. I'm actually going to bring you guys a full video today, which I actually plan on doing. But then I went on the Pacer website to see if Judge Ann Donnelly had responded to the latest motion to have R. Kelly released, and found that Steve Greenberg had actually sent a memo to the judge earlier today as a follow-up. And basically he says, Dear Judge Donnelly, I was advised last night that one inmate on Mr. Kelly's floor has tested positive for COVID-19 and been taken to the hospital. I reached out to the correctional center this morning to verify this information, but as of yet have not heard back. But the director of the Federal Defender's Office for the Northern District of Illinois did send an email this morning advising that, quote, the MCC is in the midst of a serious outbreak, end quote. I wanted to bring this additional information to the court's attention at the soon as practical moment. I think that's a typo there. So things are really getting bad at the MCC in Chicago. And then I Googled to see if I could find any additional articles on this. And I did find this story that came out on the Chicago Sun-Times on yesterday. And it states, let me see. Actually, I think it was written a couple of days ago, but it was updated on yesterday. And it says, for weeks, Chicago's downtown federal high-rise jail appeared to be keeping the coronavirus at bay. Only a handful of staff members at the Metropolitan Correctional Center on West Van Buren had tested positive for the coronavirus since the outbreak began, according to official numbers, and no reports emerged of detainees with the virus until Tuesday, and they're talking about last week. It says now for the first time the coronavirus appears to be spreading among the MCC's more than 600 inmates. Though the number of confirmed cases there remains low, the virus has been known to spread rapidly, and numbers tracked by the Chicago Sun-Times have risen quickly. The numbers were gathered from court filings by prosecutors and local defense attorneys, as well as from an MCC union official. Those on the ground sources have largely been in agreement, and they have reported higher numbers of positive cases from the Federal Bureau of Prisons. For example, MCC union leader Kevin Laisley on Friday afternoon said 12 inmates and 14 staff members had tested positive for the virus. Around the same time, the BOP said 10 inmates and 11 staff members had tested positive. It didn't report Laisley's numbers until Sunday. By then, prosecutors said the number of staff cases had risen to 15. Because some workers were also awaiting test results last week, Laisley said as many as 22 people had at one point been removed from the already stretched thin staff. So this means that they are currently understaffed. And then I think I read somewhere that they were actually limiting, if the inmates are able to come out of their cells at all, they're really limiting the amount of time that they have in common areas. And the article goes on to say, quote, we have dangerous virus in an environment where social distancing is quite literally impossible. No matter what they say to the contrary. End quote, John Murphy, Executive Director of the Federal Defender Program in the Northern District of Illinois. Then it picks up on the quote again and says, so it would seem that efforts should be made by everyone to reduce the population of people in those facilities pretty dramatically, and that hasn't happened so far. A BOP spokesperson said the numbers it releases publicly, quote, are based on the most recent available confirmed lab results involving open cases, end quote, from across the agency. The BOP has declined to say how many MCC inmates have been tested for the coronavirus. Quote, the Bureau of Prisoners has taken and will continue to take aggressive steps to protect the safety and security of all staff and inmates, as well as visitors and members of the public, end quote. BOP spokesman Emery Nelson wrote in an email, quote, the director has made clear that this response is the Bureau's top priority, end quote. And so it goes on to say the number of coronavirus cases at the MCC remains considerably lower than other lockups in Illinois, including Stateville Correctional Center, which most recently reported 122 inmate cases, or the Cook County Jail, which most recently reported 171 cases among detainees. And that number has since doubled, because there's like close to 400 cases at the Cook County Jail at this point, and I believe that was as of Friday. And so I'm sure those numbers have increased significantly as well. And so the article goes on to say that the federal court filings from prosecutors and defense attorneys have opened the widest window into the MCC since the pandemic began. Prosecutors revealed the first positive test by a single inmate Tuesday. The BOP reported the same number later that day, but the BOP did not change its tally Wednesday when defense attorneys began to report the number had jumped to 6, including one inmate whose situation was said to be precarious. On Thursday, prosecutors said 2 of the 6 inmates had been hospitalized, which might explain why the BOP that afternoon reported only 4 MCC inmates had the coronavirus. But that same afternoon, Lastly said he'd heard of 9 cases at the MCC, a number confirmed Friday morning by prosecutors. They said the number had been given to them by the MCC's legal counsel Thursday. The same day, the BOP told the public the number was only 4. MCC inmates, family members are worried. Samantha Erdale said her 36-year-old fiance, Kevin Conway, was hospitalized with a low blood count last year while serving a 2-year sentence for being a felon in possession of a firearm. She says she's wondered about sanitary conditions at the facility and if Conway gets the virus, whether he can beat it with a compromised immune system. She said he is held on the floor with 60 people who share 1 urinal, 4 toilets, 4 showers, and 4 sinks. Oh my God. In a filing in a separate case, a defense attorney wrote that MCC inmates are given a single cloth mask, which must be continually worn without proper sanitizing between each use. The attorney also wrote that the inmates are allowed to shower 3 times a week for 5 minutes at a time. And this is during, they're telling us, the people who are at home, that, whenever you go out, when you come back in, that you should take a shower, wash your clothes, don't touch anything. When you bring your groceries in, take them out the bag, wipe your groceries down. So they're telling us to do this in our own homes. Can you imagine being in a facility where it's 60 people and they have to share, 4 toilets, 4 showers, that type of thing? And even worse, these are people that haven't even been convicted of their crimes, I don't think. I believe this is like a holding place for the federal government. And so you have people, some of them haven't even gone to trial yet, and they are essentially being sentenced to death if they're not allowed to leave this facility. So the article goes on and says in a filing in a separate case, in a filing in a separate case, a defense attorney wrote that MCC inmates are given a single cloth mask. Okay, I did read this part about the mask. So it goes on and says, Erdale wondered when speaking to the Times whether those showers were being cleaned. lastly said they are. He is the president of the American Federation of Government Employees, Local 3652, representing 150 or so employees at the MCC and an office overseeing halfway house inmates. He said a team cleans the showers after every group of inmates leaves them, and he said the facility is disinfected 3 times a day. Federal prosecutors have largely argued against inmate release, stressing the steps taken by MCC staff. They said visits have been suspended, new detainees are being screened, hand sanitizer and signs touting proper hygiene have been posted. At-risk inmates are being quarantined, and as of April 10th, all MCC staff members and inmates are wearing face masks. I think that as long as the staff continues to do what they need to do, we'll do a decent job of keeping it under control, Lastly said. And, he may believe what he's saying, but, we are learning so much about how this disease is spreading so quickly. And if you have people that are in close proximity of each other, and unless they test every inmate to see who is positive and who is not positive, there really is no way that they're going to be able to contain this. And so once again, before I close out, they are now saying that there is an inmate on the same floor as R. Kelly who has tested positive for COVID-19, and that person has been taken to the hospital, which means that they must be in pretty bad condition, which means that they probably have been on the floor for a week or two with the virus without any symptoms. And now the symptoms are to the point where the person needs extended advanced medical attention. And Steve Greenberg was basically saying that he reached out to the correctional facility and they did not respond, but he has spoken to the director of the Federal Defender's Office for the Northern District of Illinois, and they did respond back, stating that, quote, the MCC is in the midst of a serious outbreak. And so, the clock is still ticking for Ann Donnelly to give a response to the opposition that was filed on yesterday. And I will come back with an actual full video talking about, different motions that have been filed, the responses to those motions. And here we are right now with this current situation where somebody has tested positive on his floor. So guys, that's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.